these minister designates or minister nominees, my colleagues, Sami Wiafe and Fred Tete Jabano. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Great. So, well, not too much of a surprise. I mean, we would have done our own permutations here, and we have a fair idea of some persons who will make it into John Dramani Mahama's government. But Mr. President has given us some timelines, and it appears as though he's dedicated or committed to respecting these timelines. So we've seen the first batch, Dr. Kesela Toforsen, John Abdullahi Jinapo, and Dr. Dominic Ayene. Fred, let me start with you. Tell us about these gentlemen. I mean, in no particular order, whichever comes to mind, you can guess.
So let's start with the Finance Ministry, and even with the appointments, you realize that the names or the offices which these people have been appointed to are very important offices. When you look at the discussions in the last few days, I'm not surprised that we have the president naming the finance minister, the energy minister, and the attorney general minister for justice. You know, we have a budget to be presented.
Exactly.
The government would need to present a budget. The president will need to present a budget. And once you started running your government and you've taken over office, you've seen and heard a lot of the issues within the country and the governance system. You need to plan on how you're going to run the country. You cannot run the country without money. So it is very important to have a finance minister who you would sit with to draw up a budget on how you're going to run the country for the next 1 year. You look at the issues concerning the energy sector. The president was sworn into office. The very day he was sworn into office, the now nominated Minister for Energy hints about the fact that we're heading into a crisis, an energy crisis, because we didn't have fuel reserves, and the fact that there was an issue with WAPCO, and how we had to deal with. So we're heading potentially into doomsday. You needed an energy minister to resolve this matter, to deal with this matter. It comes to dealing with the various partners in terms of agreements. Already we are told that the government has spoken to the West African pipelines to engaging them to see whether there could be another postponement of that shutdown, the scheduled maintenance work. We don't know where that has happened, what has happened to that. But then you've been having to deal with people, other companies, oil companies, people who are going to bring you these fuel and light oil for your plants. You need the agreement for that. Yes, you could engage the Attorney General's office, but then you would want to engage people with a substantive minister or somebody who you know would fill the office. Right. So the three names or offices or ministries which have been mentioned and have been named are very important,
very key,
very important within the state of affairs of the country at this particular moment. Now let's come to the names and the people who have been nominated. Let's start with the Finance Ministry. Dr. Kesela Toforsen. Dr. Kesela Toforsen, as we speak now, is the majority leader in Parliament. What is his background? He's a finance person. He has a bit of an economics background.
He's an economist, a chartered accountant, tax practitioner, yes, and a 5-term lawmaker.
Yes. So a tax practitioner, a finance person, an accountant, an economist. At this point in our country's life, we need somebody with all these experiences. A tax person, because don't forget, the president during the campaign promised to deal with some of the taxes he says were nuisance taxes. For example, the e-levy. We talk about the what do you call it? The other taxes.
Yes, the emissions levy, the COVID levy, the 10% tax,
the vetting tax, and all of them. This is someone who has a tax background. This is someone who has an accounting background. This is someone who has a finance background. But let's go to his background as a political appointee. He served in the Ministry of Finance under the first tenure of John Mahama. He worked under Setekpe, who was then minister. He had been in Parliament on the Finance Committee for a long time. At a point, became ranking member of the finance committee when the party went into opposition. He had been leading the party's fight on the finance grounds. On the finance ground, he was the one who was the go-to person anytime there were issues with the finance ministry. You recall during those conversations, those public lectures by John Mahama, Ato Forson was the one who was chosen to speak on finance issues. So yes, when it comes to the finance ministry, it's no surprise that Kessel Ato Forson has been named finance minister. You also look at the fact that when there was a reshuffle in Parliament, in the leadership of Parliament, one of the reasons the party gave was the fact that Ato Forson was a finance guy. Going into the elections, they believed that the major conversation was going to be about the economy. So you needed someone who understood the economy, who could speak about the economy, to take charge of Parliament. So it comes as no surprise that Kessel Ato Forson has been named finance minister. We go to the energy ministry. The energy ministry, John Jinapor. John Jinapor was a deputy power minister under the Mahama first government from 2013 to 2017. He served as deputy power minister. Whilst in opposition, he served as ranking member on the energy committee. He was also the go-to person to most of the energy power issues. He spoke about a lot of these things, raised concerns about power agreements, raised concerns about issues of Dumso at the time when we were facing some power issues under the Akufo-Addo government. He raised concerns. He was very vocal in the issues of the energy sector. It came as no surprise that even on the day that the president was sworn in, he was the one who came out to announce that there were no reserves. There was a shortage of fuel, and if we do not take care, we're going to be plunged into darkness. So yes, John Jinapor has played his role within the power sector. You even look at his background. He's also a finance person. He's had a bit of a stint with the energy studies about energy and everything. So if you look at the NDC right now, there are a number of people have mentioned the names of Ahmad Kofi-Boa, who used to be energy minister, as one person who could have, as one person who could have been sent to the energy ministry. One, based on the previous position as energy minister, based on his region he was coming from, the western region, and also based on the fact that he was also a bit vocal. But when you look at all the mix, even in Parliament, John Jinapor has been very vocal, more vocal than the others when it comes to the power sector. You had Ahmad Kofi-Boa over there, but John was made the minority, ranking member on the committee. So for him now being chosen or being nominated as energy minister,
I think he was even the energy person on the transition team.
Yes, he was the chairman of the energy committee on the transition team. So it comes as no surprise. When we come to the Attorney General, and you look at the NDC and all the people you had, the minister at the time, during Mahama's first term, Marietta Buropon, was named as the president's legal counsel, the advisor to the president, legal counsel. So then he opened the space for a new person to be mentioned or to be named. But you see, when you look at all for the last 4 years or 8 years, whilst the NDC was in opposition. Another go-to person on legal issues, constitutional issues, was Dominic Ayene. Dominic Ayene was very vocal. His experience within the ministry as deputy minister, his experience as a technocrat, his experience as someone who taught the law, and his experience in Parliament, it came as no surprise that he had been mentioned. Before these, there were rumors of other names being put out within the public. You had Mahama
Eduji Tamaklo.
You had Eduji Tamaklo. But you see, even with Eduji and the rest, they are far junior to Dominic Ayene. Mahama Yaiga, a very brilliant law practitioner. But you look at the practice properly, when you put Mahama Yaiga on one side and you put Dominic Ayeni on the other side, and you look at the one who has practiced more, you cannot take it away from Dominic Ayeni. He has been in the ministry. He knows the workings of the ministry. He's engaged the officers of the ministry. So, and don't forget that the NDC now has a task based on a promise to prosecute people they believe have committed criminal acts, people they believe have stolen government resources. They put in the oral to be the committee to set the grounds for the prosecution and investigations into some of these malfeasance that they believe had taken place within government. So naming somebody like Dominic Ayeni, who has been in the ministry, who has led prosecution in the ministry, is no surprise. So for me, the three people who have been mentioned, they do not come at a surprise already at all. They are people who are well known within the spaces which they've been nominated to go and head and lead. They are people who are quite popular within the party for some of these engagements and conversations on the various sectors. So I think that the President, John Mahama, is going with people he's comfortable with. Don't forget, he says that he wants to name one of the youngest cabinets ever. You look at John Jinapor, quite young. You look at Kesla Atoforsen, quite young. Dr. Dominic Ayeni, you cannot describe as quite, he's a senior man, but I mean in Ghana here, anybody can tell you I'm relatively young. So
yes. Young at heart.
Yes, I think the first three appointments and the names which have been mentioned comes as no surprise to me, and I'm sure it comes as no surprise to a lot of people. The issue is whether they will be able to perform their duties as expected. Being in opposition and having to oppose and propose solutions is not the same as being the minister and implement those proposed solutions. So we wait to see how they would perform within the ministries.
Right. Sami, let me come to you. I mean, the president gave us 14 days to name his cabinet, and it's only day 2 in office, and we've seen the first 3. But let's look at the positions he has made nominations to and how key they are, owing to the conversations as established by Fred already, the economy one, energy, and also legal matters. I'll come to you on that, but I understand Aduji Tamaklo is joining us via telephone. He's Director of Legal Affairs, National Democratic Congress, NDC. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you so much for your time.
Nana, good afternoon.
Good to have you. Good to have you. Let's start off from where you are mostly familiar, the Office of the Attorney General and the Minister for Justice. Honorable Dr. Dominic Ayeni, what do you make of this? Earlier, we had heard rumors that you were going to go there. We don't know how far that went. But, I mean, this nomination of Dr. Ayeni to be the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, your initial thoughts?
The Honorable Dr. Dominic Ayeni, first of all, as you are aware. Hello?
Yes. Council, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
As you are aware, he's my senior partner in the law firm. The partnership involves myself, Ayaga, and him, constituting Ayeni and Partners Law Firm. And I've worked with him. He was my lecturer at the law faculty, and I came and I studied and worked with him. He brings to the office that level of dignity that is required by an attorney. And for me, I want to thank A.T. John Dramani for this laudable, dignified elevation. Remember that he was the deputy when A.T. John Dramani Mahama was the president until 2016. And so that's the dignity that is the experience. You see, the office of the Attorney General has its own politics. And so you need that experience to appreciate the politics within that office. And the Honorable Dr. Dominic, the singer, has more than enough when it comes to that experience.
He has been in the space before, having served as deputy, and of course we can attest to the wealth of experience he's bringing. But for you, and of course the agenda of John Dramani Mahama, which has taken effect with the setting up of the oral committee and all, how do you see Dr. Dominic?
As you can see, the Honorable Dr. Dominic Akrosinga appreciates what it takes to go ahead with the peace. Remember that it was when he was deputy AG together with the boss, Marietta, that they persuade all these leaders and staff to retrieve money. They persuade the National Service Council and retrieve money. So they have the experience when it comes to issues of asset tracing and the rest. So I have absolute confidence that he will start.
And on international matters as well, we know that, of course, the work of the Attorney General will not be limited to local matters, prosecution, and, of course, retrieval of assets and all that. There will also be international legal matters to attend to.
And but remember that the Attorney General is the principal legal advisor to that. To do the international treaty. We are members of various international organizations, so one it means that we have a obligation. Because we are doing the deputy before, it counts with our risk experience to the office. And so this is a very smooth movement. And if you look at the experience, it gives you an indication of the priority of AG John Dramani. The economy, the economy, the economy, the economy. Energy, and remember, law. And so these three underscore the key priorities of AG John Dramani. To get the economy on its feet immediately, to get our power system stabilized, and to ensure greater respect for the rule of law, respect for human rights, and Ghana's commitment to national. And so I am really looking to win the first game.
Very well, Council. I mean, it's interesting that you've mentioned, you've put a three together and spoken to it. I was going to ask you about how critical it is that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's first appointment will have to be for finance, energy, and the AG's department, as well as the Minister for Justice.
Maybe I was engaged in clairvoyance, so to see where you were going.
Perhaps. But then how critical is this? I mean, we know that this is the agenda JDM wants to prosecute, but how critical are these first three appointments?
Again, like I said, the economy is everything. And we know the state of the economy. The Honorable Ministerial Association, having been Deputy Finance Minister before, appreciated that. Remember that for many years, he was the ranking of finance, having become also the minority. His understanding of the peculiar Ghanaian economy is without doubt. I have always maintained. If you look at the warning that the Honorable Ministerial Association gave, they are gone. If they are even taken a little bit, we will not be where we are. So this one, it is like the herbalist who is sick, he is going to cure himself. And so thankfully, AG John Dramani Mahama has put at the finance ministry a man with enormous understanding. The Ghanaian economy is peculiar. And this man understands the economy. I am very confident that we have what it takes to change things around. I am so confident that you have no doubt. And same applies to the Honorable John. As you know, he has also been a deputy minister within the same position. Appreciate the issues with our energy. For the past 8 years or so, or no, the past 4 years, he has been a bank on energy. So all the energy-related matters, he has good appreciation of them. And I strongly believe you bring all of this to bear, more so as you are aware of the current challenge that we have. I'm so confident that this team is a fantastic team.
His Excellency John Mahama has promised that 60 ministers. He wants to set up the most lean and efficient government ever. Also promised us a very young a cabinet. Out of the 60, these are the first 3 that we are hearing of, leaving 57 more to go. Where should we expect to hear your name?
As you are aware, the appointing authority remains A.T. John Dramani. He has the experience of putting together a team that can deliver on the respect promises to the people of it. I want to back and support his judgment that ultimately, when the judgment fall in place, he and DFO will decide who and who will constitute his first 11. Always remember that in a case, you are most likely going to have persons who will be on the reserve. They may never get to this place, but they will be on the reserve. Like I said, these were deputies between 2020 to 2020. Today they are fantastic. You can always ask God for life when they come.
Council, before we let you go, let me digress a little bit and ask you about preparations for that hearing of the stay of execution regarding the disputed parliamentary results.
We are even at the Supreme Court on the 14th. Yes.
Fully prepared?
I have we have this law lecture. We used to tell us as a lawyer, you must have what you call ambulatory law, the law that when you are looking to this court, you remember. So basically, that's what it is.
Council, thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure talking to you. We wish you well. Godwin Eduji Tamaklo, Director of Legal Affairs for the National Democratic Congress, NDC, speaking to us there regarding John Dramani Mahama's first appointments or nominations to ministerial positions, which will cover the Finance Ministry, Energy Ministry, Attorney General's Department, and Minister for Justice. Dr. Kesi Latufosen has been nominated as Minister Designate for Finance, John Abdullahi Jinapo, Minister Designate for Energy, and the Honorable Dr. Dominic Akurutenga Ayene, Minister Designate for Justice and Attorney General. Sami, just before we spoke to Council, I was asking about how critical it was for these 3 ministries to be the first appointments made by John Mahama.
Very, very important, and I want to make submissions in reference to some of the things, Fred mentioned in his submission, and these are very important, cabinet positions in every administration. Finance, energy, and Attorney General's Department are very, very important appointments that every administration is expected to have. And when we look at these individuals, they were chairpersons of the various subcommittees of the transition team.
Yeah.
And what's has been made to believe or known, or the practice is that anytime you are made, as a chairperson or a chairperson to any of these transition, committees, subcommittees, you automatically assume, that appointment.
It's most likely that you take up the ministerial role.
Because you are the one, fronting for that ministry on the other side. you've been to the ministry already, you know what's happening there. So it's most likely that you have all the briefs from the outgoing minister. So obviously you must serve as the minister for that particular ministry. And so I'm not surprised that you know these individuals are going to these various ministries, because during the transition period, I saw a number of them. You know, all these individuals at these transition committee meetings. You know, having series of meetings with the outgoing ministers. And so when this list came up, I wasn't really surprised that these individuals are going in there. And as Fred mentioned, these are individuals who serve as deputy ministers in the various, you know, ministries that they've been appointed or nominated to go and serve. Dr. Atoke, so former deputy finance minister, you know, he was allegedly involved in the ambulance scandal and the rest, and he was being prosecuted for that particular purpose. We all know the outcome of that particular one. He served in that ministry for a long time. He still has a relationship with individuals or persons within that ministry. And so going back...
He's actually served on the Finance Committee of Parliament for a long time.
And so going back to that same ministry is not really a problem. You know, he's just going to have it a bit easy there because he still has, you know, relationships in there. You're talking about Dr. Ayene, former deputy AG, also has a number of relationships with persons, you know, still at the ministry. So going back there will be easy. It's very easy for him. John Jinapo, in the thick of the doomsday crisis under John Mahama, he was made deputy, you know, power minister in charge of, you know, power and the rest. He still has good, you know, relationship with the IPPs. You know, anytime issues of energy, you know, comes up, you hear me. So my sources within this will means that he still has relationship within these people, and he's the best person I feel will be able.
But we know there's a technical team looking into the power issue now. I understand he is the current chair.
You know, and the subcommittee was the chairman of the NDC sector. I saw him in a number of times having conversation with Herbert Krapper, the outgoing, you know, minister on this particular. Outgone. He's gone. Sorry, outgone. I had a conversation with Herbert Krapper, outgone energy minister. On these number of things. So these appointments are very important because President Mahama has promised us a 24-hour economy. In a 24-hour economy, you need energy, you need power to drive a 24-hour economy. Introducing a 24-hour economy, you need someone who understands the economy very well. And Dr. Atoforsen is known to understand the economy, is known to a lot of people as a finance guy, the go-to guy. So if President Mahama is bringing a 24-hour economy, you need someone who is able to drive this particular policy. And Dr. Atoforsen is the right person, if you ask me. 24-hour economy, you need the laws, legislation, and interpretation. Dr. Ayene has proven himself over the years. And I think he was the chairman of the subsidiaries of Parliament. You know, they deal with this number of, you know, things, laws and the like. And so in this same position, it's most likely that he's the one going to begin with. So for me, Nana, right appointment for President Mahama, elevation, you know, from person who served as deputy ministers in his previous administration, coming to serve as main ministers now, still will have control of the ministry, will still have people in there who will feed them with information and everything, right? I think it's a good appointment. President Mahama has got it right in the first start. We hope that the subsequent appointment will also be accepted by, you know, number of Ghanaians on this thing. He's promised 60 ministers. Let's hope and pray that he will go according to the 60 ministers as he promised.
Well, it's not a done deal yet because now they will have to be subjected to vetting by the appointments committee
with their numbers
of Parliament. Well, I mean,
with their numbers, I'm not sure there will be any opposition. You know,
but we know that Parliament yesterday had the report of the selections committee that announced the appointments, members of the appointments committee. We know that Bernard Ahiafo will chair the appointments committee. The Honorable Emmanuel Amakofibua will be the vice chair. Alexander Afenyo-Markin, Honorable, will be the ranking member. And his deputy on the minority side, the Honorable Patricia PJ, will be the deputy ranking member. Now, other members on the committee will include Governs Kwame Agboja, the Honorable Mahama Yariga, the Honorable Agnes Na Momulate, Honorable Shaibu Mahama, Al-Hassan Umar, Honorable Patrick Yabuama, and the Honorable Frank Ano Dompre. So all in all, I think 10 members with one chair, making 11 members on the committee.
For those who do not know Shaibu Hassan, he is the member of Parliament for Daboya.
Shaibu
Mahama is a member of Parliament for Daboya. And the Honorable Hassan Umar is Zabzugu. Yes. But you see, Nana, when it comes to the appointment committee, for me, what I look out for is not even with the majority members on the committee, with the minority members and their pedigree and what they can do. Because you see, usually when it comes to the majority members, a lot of the times over the past years, we know how the majority members have conducted themselves on the vetting committee, the appointment committee. Usually is a very easy take, the laid back approach, sometimes even guiding and coaching the nominees and the nominees to go ahead. So the actual work for me is done by the minority members. There are 4 minority members on this particular committee. And when you look at these 4 minority members, these are very strong members of the MPP, strong members from the minority side. You have Honorable Alex Afenyo-Markin, who is the minority leader, very strong person who I believe could do a very good job in questioning these nominees. You have Madam Patricia Appiagyei. She is deputy minority leader. She's been in Parliament for a long time. One, she's also a woman. She fills the gender gap.
And yesterday we heard her raise questions regarding
it's surprising
the
the fact that
disparity
the majority did not even add a woman
on their end,
onto their end. But then she, as I said, she's been a long time legislator. She's been in Parliament for a long time. She understands the in and out. She's been a minister herself under the Kufuor presidency. And you have Honorable Anodompre, another solid guy,
Chief Whip.
Chief Whip. You've seen his submissions in Parliament and everything. Very strong person. Then you have Patrick Boama. Patrick Boama also has been in Parliament for a very long time, knows his stuff, knows what he's about. He has experience. He has a lot of experience within the parliamentary setting. So for me, with these people we have on the appointment committee, I think it's a good committee. You have Honorable Mahama Yaiga. Yaiga, when he was in opposition and when he was in the appointment committee, asked very good questions.
I think most of them have served on the appointment
committee. Yes, most of them have served on the appointment committee. Most of them have, I think majority.
Agboja has also served on the committee.
Governs has served on the appointment committee. But the only difference now is that there's a switch. Majority to minority. So positioning and questioning may change. So what you saw Governs do in the last appointment of President Akufo-Addo might not do that. What you may see is seeing Anodompre doing that. You understand? And with the 3 people who have been nominated so far, look at finance. Finance. There's a finance person on the committee, the finance committee chairman, who is Patrick Boama. Patrick Boama is there. Could do a very good job when it comes to the finance aspect of the committee. It comes to the legal part. Patrick Boama once again is there. You have Alex Afenyo-Markin, who is also there. Very strong people to do the job when it comes to legal issues on the committee. Even you have Mahama Yaiga. You have the chairman himself, who is a lawyer. Very strong people when it comes to such things. Then you come to the energy sector. I'm sure most of them would have had a stint to the energy sector. Even Alex Afenyo-Markin, board chairman of the ECG, Electricity Company of Ghana. He's still board chairman because we haven't heard of the dissolution of the board. He still stands as board chairman of the Electricity Company of Ghana. And you know where we are as a country when it comes to the energy sector. I've mentioned it already. The issues of a looming power crisis. He being at the ECG, he understanding the work of the ECG, at least in the last few months, being there as board chair, would help in the kind of questions which would be put out. So for me, I think it's a strong appointment committee. What we expect from the majority side is that they don't go and behave like previous majority sides on the parliamentary vetting committee. They do their jobs as legislators, as parliamentarians, who have been given the duty to check the executive and what the executive is bringing in. And this is the first job to check the executive, because as we speak now, the executive has not brought in any bill for consideration, nothing. The first job for them now is the nomination of people to serve as ministers. And they should behave as and work as parliamentarians first than before working as party members. Because right now we've moved away from being a party member. Now we are running a government. The whole state is running a government. You understand? Yeah. The country is looking for a government from the executive side, the legislature, and the judiciary to perform the duties of which they've been elected and appointed to. So now that you're on the appointment committee, I expect that all committee members, especially the majority members, would put the country first and perform their duties as expected, rather than what we have seen previously over the years of just
the singing praises and the rest,
and even leading questions. And we expect that the appointment committee, these are honorable men, these are very respected men,
not
and a woman.
Congratulations, honorable nominees.
We should expect it, Fred. It's definitely going to happen. I don't see the norm changing. I don't see the practice changing.
The only thing is that tables have turned.
Yes, it's going to continue since the inception of Parliament. We've seen this thing happening over and over again. And as the MPs will always say, they're always the masters of their own game. And I don't see this practice changing, because these are people you are familiar with. These are your friends. These are your colleagues. I'm not sure I will want to embarrass my colleague or friend in a public setting.
You don't want another A at all.
You know, I may not want to subject, a colleague or a friend or someone I've said in Parliament all these years to public ridicule by asking, some very, very important question, which I know very well will expose my own colleague. No, it won't happen.
You have no business.
I understand. I understand.
That would be the ideal thing.
That would have been the ideal.
But that's the ideal happening.
Yes, but it's not going to happen.
When we sit here and accept the bad behavior and the wrong thing.
I am not.
When we normalize the wrong thing.
When we accept it and we normalize it. No, I'm saying when we accept it and we normalize it, so this is what is going to happen. I don't expect to go and ask my friend or my colleague.
So when it comes back to bite, then we have no moral grounds to challenge.
We don't have any moral grounds to challenge. We should tell them at the face that, look, you are not there to be because the person is your friend.
How many times have we said this?
Sammy, you are not
there. We have
there.
said this several times, but we never see any changes.
So do we leave it be?
We don't leave it. We don't keep quiet. Our job is to ensure and continue saying it until the people hear and perform the duties for which they have been put there. This issue of every time, this thing we said is to remain. We will say it and continue to say it. We'll criticize them till they do the work they are supposed to be doing. You are not supposed to be sitting there to come and... Sami is my very good friend for over how many years? Close to 20 years. Sami has been my friend close to 20 years. I shouldn't be coming to congratulate Sami because he's my friend when I'm being elected as a parliamentarian, or I've been appointed to vet him and I'm being paid with state money. Because me and Sami will go and sit somewhere and we know what we engage in.
But you wouldn't want to use some things you know due to your friendship with him against him.
Then we should just behave like, we should perform the duties like how they perform at the law court. Where if I know that I have a kind of relationship with you, and I may be biased. When I'm put there, I should recuse myself.
How many of these members appointed to the appointment committee of Parliament have ever decided to excuse themselves because they know the nominee coming in front of them will have close relation with these individuals? None. We've never seen. The only time we know a member resigning from this committee was Okujato Ablakwa. Due to reasons he said is personal. He never made those reasons public. Aside him, have we ever seen anybody recusing themselves or withdrawing themselves or excusing themselves from the committee because they have close relation with the nominee? No.
And you see, if we were to go by that, then all the members might as well just recuse them, because all of them will have a relationship
over the years,
one way or the other with the nominee.
Over the years,
but I get what Fred is saying, that the relationship should not stop you from doing your work.
Yes, that is what we expect.
Exactly.
But has that happened over the years?
But we shouldn't accept the norm.
But then we should be, like Fred is saying, we shouldn't accept and leave it be.
We shouldn't accept the norm. How many times have we said that, we expect them to do this, we expect them to even the politicians have set time with that number, that supporters don't be fighting because we are very close. That we see, you go and see members of Parliament drinking tea and their supporters fighting outside there. And the two MPs have said this several times, that don't fight. We are very close in Parliament, but don't we see these supporters still fighting all the time? Don't we see this supporting?
When they fight, you arrest them,
fighting
you prosecute them. Next time,
have we ever seen that happening?
I'm saying that
we have built a kind of democracy where we've made certain things to be acceptable, which is not supposed to be acceptable. We have made it in such a way that, normal, MPP NDC. But we shouldn't allow it to be so. But that is the reality, and we should speak truth to the reality. That is exactly what's going to happen. The only people we foresee asking tough questions are members on the minority. I foresee Patrick Mahama asking, important and intelligent questions. I foresee Afenyo Markin scrutinizing some of these individuals. For the rest of the members of the committee on the majority side, they may ask questions, but not pressing questions, not pushing questions, not questions that will push their nominees, their back against the wall. Ask the normal questions, but the tough ones will obviously be for the minority. A classic example, in the last parliament, or in the last administration, Agboja and Ablakwa were those asking the tougher questions, because they were on the other side. Are we going to see
Agboja doing his own?
We expect him.
We will see it on TV.
Well, it is expected that he does same.
Yes, we expect, but we will see on TV.
Consistency is key.
The vetting will be live on TV, and we will see if he will ask those tough questions he was asking previous administration and nominees. It's never going to happen. It's never. Our politics has become scratch my back. I scratch yours.
Well, it will be interesting to see how it pans out. We know that the speaker has already referred, acknowledged receipts of the nominations from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and has referred same to the appointments committee.
And already the minority chief will be sending warning that the nominees should prepare.
Yes, they should prepare and come. We are waiting to see when, what dates will be fixed for the vetting.
Usually there are processes for this. Parliament would need to advertise the names of the people, accept petitions against people. If any, then would go ahead to set a date for the hearing. Sometimes we hear that the president would ask for expedite action on this issue. So we don't know how that will pan out. But if we are looking at the regular and the normal procedure, then this should take about 2 weeks for vetting to take place. Otherwise, if Parliament deems it very necessary and important to expedite this action to get government running, I'm sure they might abridge the time and get the vetting done quite early.
A lot of things has been said. We've heard the speaker himself say that he will ensure a non-partisan parliament. The majority side have saying that they won't abuse their numbers in parliament. So we are waiting to see how all that plays out regarding some of these things. But the minority leader is already at work regarding the ministerial appointments, and he is raising concerns to what he refers to as thought-by-thought approach to ministerial appointments by the president. He is saying that as a government that promised to deliver a 24-hour economy should be fully prepared with its ministerial nominees rather than making appointments in such a manner. And so we are waiting to see how that will go.
Yeah, he said 14 days.
14 days. So maybe we can put up the social contract and look at some of the things that he has said there. The first, of course, on that is first 120 days social contract with the people of Ghana is to nominate within the first 14 days the complete list of cabinet ministers for parliamentary approval. So far, we've seen 3 yet as of today. He has promised to constitute the leanest and most efficient government under the Fourth Republic in his first 90 days in office. Establish a robust code of conduct and standards for all government officials. And 4, hold a national economic dialogue to discuss the true state of the economy and prepare a homegrown fiscal consolidation program to guide the budget. So we'll deal with this first 4 because this really has to do with the ministerial nominations that he started making already. Nominate within the first 14 days the complete list of cabinet ministers to go for parliamentary approval and all that. So now we have seen that he has picked 3 key sectors or ministries and made his nominations for. It's day 2 yet, so he has still 12 days to go. But 12 days, that will mean 12 days to nominate what? How many ministers to make up his cabinet?
So 60. He needs to 60.
For cabinet, you need 18. For
for his cabinet, he
19,
need 8.
It's 19, 19. 19.
So this is
but
3
there
out
are
of
other
the
ministers who are not members of cabinet, but they
cabinets.
attend cabinet meetings.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that it's not just cabinet. He's going to nominate all the ministers.
And I
within 60
understand where
days.
opinion marking is coming from.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, we will deal with the opinion marking issue, but let me speak to the executive director of the Institute of Energy Securities, Nana Amoesi the 7th, regarding particularly the appointment of John Jinapor to the Energy Ministry. Good afternoon, Nana, and thank you so much for your time. Hello, Nana. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost him. We'll work the lines and bring him back on. So I mean, these 3 appointments, very, very key. He still has some 16 for his cabinet, and then he'll deal with the other nominations to other ministries.
57.
Some of whom will be attending cabinet, but not all of whom. How important is it that he does this within the 14 days timeline that he's given?
He's a man in a hurry. He's a man in a hurry, which he said that indeed he needs to turn things around. And 4 years, a lot of people say will come right now. And normally it takes like a year or 2 to form a full administration, a full government.
Nana Amoesi the 7th is back on the line. Nana, good afternoon and thank you so much for your time. Hello. Happy New Year to you.
Many happy returns, please.
Great, good to have you. Nana, so I mean, the president has hit the ground running, has made nominations to key ministerial positions. I want us to speak to the nomination of John Jinapor to the Energy Ministry and how important it is that it is done in the shortest possible time to see him go through the vetting and take up office to deal with some of the issues in the sector. How critical is this?
Well, it is critical to the extent that the Ghanaians will not want to go through the experience of doing so because of the kind of negative impact it brings to their life and their businesses. It was good to see the president put together an emergency meeting to avert what was imminent. And I'm sure, guided by the same, it's otherwise that he must elect a substantive minister to ensure that decisive decisions are made and also all the issues that need to be addressed will start from somewhere. And so it is good. The timing is right. He's done the right thing by electing somebody to occupy that space. Now to the choice of Honorable John Jinapor. Yes, as a young man, energetic, he brings the same character to the energy ministry. That is energy and charismatic. And that charisma is important to drive every player and utility along in finding solutions to the problems at hand. But then you need to be more engaging, more extensive in its engagement and collaboration to ensure that aside dealing with regulatory agencies and utilities, it still have some form of control and eyes around the general space. And this goes to even cover the civil society organization and any other industry watcher, including you guys as journalists. You do a good work in putting forward the problems. And if it comes to his attention, I'm sure it will help him address same. And so John's appointment is good. His qualification is also a right fit for the position. We only pray that he adopts the right character in handling the various stakeholders and the issues at hand. He must take a cue from his predecessors who, out of exuberance and, I don't know whether they were consumed with power or everything, how they felt. He must ensure that those cups passes over him.
Hello, Nana.
I'm here.
Yes, very well. What are some of the things you would like to see him do once he takes up the office? I mean, in the shortest possible time to help deal with some of the issues within the sector?
Of course, stakeholder engagement is key, and I'm sure that's what they started with yesterday. So extensive stakeholder engagement is key. The next is that they, as they have suggested already, they must quickly go to the step of auditing the entire energy sector particularly the power sector where the problems are more deep-seated. The auditing of the states will allow them and give them the opportunity to see the problems at hand, first hand, and also to guide them in policy formulation in dealing with the issues and also bringing other solutions that have already not been preferred to Ghanaians. These are two keys that we expect from him: stakeholder engagement, audit of the power sector in particular.
Very well. This committee that is in place now, there's the interim committee that is looking at the challenges and ways to avert it. What kind of results would you want to see at the end of the day, at the end of the work of this particular committee?
Well, we can't tell. We are not privy to the term of reference here. But then we get the notion is that this committee was put in place to help avert the impending doomstalk should WAPCO go ahead with their program, and also to find ways and ensure that such things don't happen again. But if it's a broader one, then of course we won't understand the terms of reference. That's why we can say this is the kind of expectation we want from them or not, because every expectation that we should have of them must be guided by the terms of reference.
Now, how bad is our situation regarding the imminent threats of a possible power crisis? How bad is our situation?
Very, very bad. Let us take it a step further to involve the entire power sector. We are today dealing with liquid fuel as backup to compensate for any disruption in natural gas supply. And that is what has put the attention of the country. But then there are other issues that are sitting unattended to at this moment. We already have mounting debt in the sector. We have poor revenue collection. We have a non-performing cost waterfall system, escalating technical and commercial losses. We also have challenges of threats from IPPs in particular, as well as WAPCO. Once in a while, because of debt owed them, they threaten to shut down. And so right from the point of fuel supply, through fuel transmitter to generator, all the way through transmission to the end of the value chain, being the distribution segment and the revenue collection, we must pay critical attention to. The sector still remain fragile to the extent that government is the only source of financing for the power sector, when the key utility UCG is supposed to do that, to tell you that we are not out of the woods.
Now, a final one to you will be His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's comment regarding a possible privatization of the ECG again. What are your thoughts on that?
It is good. It is positive signal that we are receiving in the civil society space, because the ECG has proven to be incompetent. We ourselves, Ghanaians, are proven to be incompetent at running ECG from the public domain. The first 2 months of ECG PDS arrangement, we had positive news, just that the whole engagement was fraught with some form of corruption. That's why it failed. But then I am not sure any government is against private participation in the power sector. It is super, and we stand by that. The private sector introduced efficiency, competence, and has the capacity to also introduce the needed financing of key infrastructure that we need to work on.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time, Nana. We are grateful and we wish you all the best. Nana Amoesi, the 7th Executive Director of the Institute of Energy Security, is there. Before I come back in studio, let's hear from Minority Leader Alexander Penyo-Markin regarding John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency's nominations to these 3 ministerial positions.
When the names were read out by Mr. Speaker, he read out only 3 names. The Finance Minister designate, the Energy Minister designate, and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Designate. Mr. Speaker, this thought appointment is unacceptable. Mr. Speaker, this is a government that promised a 24-hour economy in opposition. They told us that they were ready for government. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, indulge me.
Honorable Minority Leader.
Yes, indulge me.
Honorable Minority Leader.
Is that how you are starting it?
Please.
Let me finish. Let me not.
Honorable Minority Leader.
Yes.
I'm just indulging you because you are the leader.
This
is a time slotted for correction of vote and proceedings.
Yeah, with your leave. I took your leave. Honorable Harry Idrisu used to slot this in. I'm doing that. Mr. Speaker, this government, I'm talking for you, please, it's for you. Mr. Speaker, this government promised a 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, we expect them to be ready from day one. Mr. Speaker, you cannot start energy, finance, Attorney General. Where are the rest of the ministers? You must be ready. We want to hear Ama Kofi Bua. We want to hear Agric. We want to hear Agric Ministries. Honorable Erikopoku.
Honorable Leader.
Honorable Erikopoku.
Honorable Minority Leader.
We want to hear Agric Ministries. We want to hear roads and highways.
Honorable Minority Leader.
We want to hear lands and natural resources.
Honorable Minority Leader.
Alexander Penyomakin there. Let's now hear from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who says that so many people who are sending in their CVs for appointments are likely to be disappointed.
Now the difficult part. I cannot do this work alone, and so I have to select some people to join me to be able to deliver the resets that we have promised Ghanaians. And it's coming in at a time when Ghanaians expected a reduction in the size of government. And so you won't want to be in my shoes when you promise to appoint only 60 ministers and you have thousands of people sending their CVs. Definitely some people will be disappointed. But it's not only by playing a role at that level that you can contribute to the success of government. There are many other things that we can all do. And I always say that the success of this administration will guarantee us, another term, maybe under some other leader, but we need to get this right so that Ghanaians will repose the confidence in us and give us another opportunity to continue. So all of us must put our shoulders to the wheel and work as hard as we can in order to achieve this.
His Excellency John Dramani Mahama speaking there. Gentlemen, in a few seconds, let's wrap it up. Your final thoughts on the nominations so far and your expectations.
Great appointment, individuals who have vast experience in the various sectors that they are going, and we wish them all the best.
Fred.
Not a surprising nomination. We hope that Parliament will do their job properly and ensure that we get the best out of these people.
All right, thank you very much, Sami Wiafe. Thank you so much, Fred Tejabano. My name is Nana Tufo Boateng. This is Channel 1 TV. Many thanks for your time. Keep your TVs right here on this station.